Welcome back to TechniqueWOD. Today we're talking about shrimp squats, or what some people also call an airborne lunge. Very similar to a pistol, but in my opinion, a little bit more difficult. So if you're sick of doing pistols and you want something new that's a little more challenging, this is your movement. Okay, I'm gonna do the demo at the very beginning of the video. That way if I mess it up, I can just cut it and try again. Here we go. All right, here's what it is. You're basically posting on one foot. Instead of going down with your leg right in front of you, you're putting your leg behind you and you're tapping your knee, and your foot shouldn't touch. So it looks like this. I go down, I tap my knee, and I come back up. First try, check that out. Okay, points of performance. Everything is very similar to squatting. As you can see, I'm in this position. If you just pay attention to this front leg, my knee is out over my toe a little bit, which is putting a lot of the emphasis on the knee joint and the quadricep. I have to have very good ankle range of motion. My knee is over my foot in the same plane. I'm pushing it out to some extent, but if I have it right over my foot, then you're good to go. It's never diving in. I'm not going like this and getting that torque, that valgus at the knee. If your back isn't like all the way straight, that's not the end of the world. A lot of times when people do pistols, at the bottom, they're all round over like this. That's okay. You're not under a whole lot of load. You don't have a heavy barbell on your back, so you're not likely to bulge a disc when you're doing something like pistols. When you're doing shrimp squats, it's a little bit different because instead of the leg in front of you, it's just kind of like tucking me under like that at the bottom of the movement, depending on how good your ankle mobility is. I'm having my knee behind me, and so I can kind of stay like in this close stance lunge or split squat position. And so my back generally doesn't round the same way it would during pistols. Either way, it's not a big deal if you round a little bit. As you catch your bounce, a lot of times you're gonna be here, and you might kind of flex over like that, just as you're catching your bounce. And as it gets tough, a lot of people might go like this. As you round, it pulls your center of mass forward a little bit, which gives you a little bit extra counterbalance. So sometimes when you are rounding your back, it's not because you lack stability necessarily, or you can't do the technique. It's because you're trying to catch your bounce, and by rounding, my center of mass goes forward a little bit, and that helps put my center of mass over my base support, which is my foot. Other ways you can do that, of course, is just grab a plate and use that as your counterbalance. Okay? So if I'm here and I have the plate out in front of me, then it's much easier because I have that little bit of a counterbalance. Okay? You might think it makes it harder because it's heavier. That's not necessarily the case. If your quads, if your legs, if your squatting strength is strong enough for you to do the movement and balance is your issue, then a counterbalance actually might make it a heck of a lot easier. The same goes for pistols for the most part. If you want to scale it back, then you can just grab some type of support. You can just grab the uprights or whatever you have. Grab low, maybe like hip or waist height, and then you can just go down, touch your knee, and come back up. Having this counterbalance makes it where you're not going to fall backwards, and so you get a more of a vertical shin, you get more of your hips back, and it's a lot easier than if I didn't have this. I'd be more in this position and less in this position. This is a more equal distribution of the load across my quad and my glutes, whereas not having the counterbalance really puts a lot of the emphasis on your quads, and so you have to have really, really strong quads to get up, and your hips don't really take care of much of the movement. They're not a prime mover in the same way as your quads are. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can do kind of the opposite. Over there, I was basically like hanging on to the upright. Over here, I do this a lot when I'm on vacation. It makes the movement harder, but I'm only pushing up. So I push up on something, I'm pushing myself down. It still acts as a counterbalance, but it makes the movement much more difficult. It increases the loading. It increases the loading a lot, and the harder you press up, the more you press up, the heavier it gets, and then the harder you have to work. So you could do that and press up as hard as you can, and probably get 5 sets to 8 or whatever it is per leg, and get a really good leg workout without having to have a barbell or any extra loading. And you can just do that on last time I was doing it on vacation, I was on the back deck of a house and I was just pushing up on the railing that was around the deck. It worked really, really well. If you want to make it harder a different way, of course you can increase the range of motion. You can stand on something. I'm not even sure I'll be able to do this. You can stand on something small and go down and touch just like that. If you want to make it even harder, this one I probably won't do. You can grab your foot. You can grab your foot and go down and just touch just like this. Whew. That's super difficult. If you want to make it easier, you can do the opposite. If you want to make it easier, you can do the opposite, and you can be here where I'm tapping on something that decreases the range of motion, and then I can, if I have, mats like these ones, I can just, take off one mat at a time until I find, a good height, a good range of motion for me and whatever my current abilities are as far as strength and mobility. Regarding mobility, actually, now that I'm on that topic, if you lack ankle range of motion, then it's going to be tough to do this movement, especially if you're a person that has a shorter torso and you're a longer, lankier person. You just need more ankle range of motion to complete the movement compared to someone who's the opposite. If you have really good squatting leverages, anthropometrically, you're just more likely to be at a vertical shin angle, and your ankle's not going to bend as much at the bottom of the movement. So just by consequence of the body type that you have, if you have a long torso and short limbs, short legs, short femurs, you just don't need as much ankle range of motion to complete the movement. So if you are that person that has longer limbs and a shorter torso, you just need to make sure that you have lots of ankle range of motion. If you can't squat all the way down, just like this, with your heels on the ground, then it's probably gonna be tough to do pistols and or shrimp squats. So awesome movement. There's lots of variations that you can do, but if you don't have any equipment, just like pistols, I think shrimp squats are another awesome movement to throw into your training. If you don't have a 10-pound plate, I've held like a lawn chair in front of me before and done these. If I'm in a pinch, it doesn't have to be super heavy to get that counterbalancing effect if you hold it nice and far out in front of you. So you can do this literally anywhere. If you're strong enough to do it without any counterbalance, more power to you. But I like to do these as a complement to my regular training. You certainly can throw them into a Metcon just like you would pistols or anything else, or if you're backing off on your squats and your deadlifts and you want to use these as like a primary strength movement, or maybe you have a back injury or something where you don't want to put a heavy bar on your back and you want to decrease the loading on your spine or your shoulder, or something upper body is nagging you but you still want to have high load on your legs, then this is also a great option for that. So hope you enjoyed it. I'm Doug Larson. You can follow me on Instagram, Douglas E. Larson. Also, everything Shrugged Collective. Also, we have the program Vault. If you go to shruggedcollective.com/vault, that's where we house all of our online training programs. We used to sell them all individually. Now they're on a membership site where if you pay one monthly rate, you just get access to all the programs. That way, as your goals change and as your mentality changes around how you want to train, or just what's exciting and what's boring and what have you, you can switch easily from program to program. So you can find all those online training programs in the program Vault. Go to shruggedcollective.com/vault, VAULT, Vault. We'll see you another day.
Welcome to the Shrugged Collective Program Vault. Over the last 6 years, we've been leading the charge in online strength and conditioning programming and coaching. And for the first time in the history of the Shrugged Collective, we're combining our 11 best-selling long-term and short-term accessory programs into one membership site called the Program Vault. From Olympic weightlifting to strongman, leaning out, nutrition, you name it, our 11 best-selling programs are yours for $47 a month. Get to shruggedcollective.com/vault, and you will find immediate access to our 11 best-selling strength and conditioning programs.